Oh, how's my hair look? Should I put the hat back on?
Yeah.
You
Go. No, you can go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the...
I'm the mountain.
I'm a Marine.
And, did you invite him? Is that a friend of yours?
Not a friend of mine.
Anyway, welcome to our Halloween episode. Now, of course, we're talking about Halloween, and we have one of the most iconic Halloween-looking kind of scary guys, Jason Voorhees. But actually, what we want to talk about first and foremost is the namesake of the horror genre, Halloween. Which, so do you have a Michael Myers mask?
No.
No, all right, you can take it off then. This is Clint. This is the Marine's
You mean William
nephew.
Shatner?
Yeah, do you have William Shatner? No. So we're going to talk about we're first going to talk about the original. We, in our typical fashion, we'll probably roam and maneuver to other movies, but talk about the 1978. Am I correct?
Yes, 78.
1978 John Carpenter horror classic, Halloween.
Later redone by Rob Zombie.
Where did he do it?
Yeah.
I didn't see his version.
Really?
See, we've already gone off topic. We haven't. Well,
Anyway, let's stick with the 78 low budget.
start with the first one, and then we'll take it from there. First impressions. Halloween, kind of an iconic movie at this point for anybody who hasn't seen it. First of all, go watch it. It's
don't turn this off. Just keep watching. Then you can go back and watch it.
If it didn't actually create some of the horror genre cliches, it certainly brought them to the forefront. Psychopathic killer eventually escapes, terrorizes a small town.
It's the stare. It's that 1,000-yard stare that he's like standing over the bushes, just looking.
The side
That
of the
stare
bushes.
right there.
Yes.
Like,
You just see the guy.
what the shit?
So the original horror thriller, John Carpenter, well-known horror writer. If you haven't seen any of his stuff, then yeah, definitely stop
Look
this.
him up.
Stop right now. Go look him up.
Why are you even watching this? Seriously.
Anyway, this was this was a very low-budget movie.
Jamie Lee Curtis. She was hot back then. Well, I don't know. She's pretty hot now.
I liked her in True Lies, but anyway.
Oh, True Lies, yes.
That's a
That's
whole
what
other
everybody says about her.
She's got some lungs on her. She was the original Scream Queen. Like when this movie, like she's known for just like.
I think that's how you get your job in a low budget horror film. Can you scream? You're hired. Okay,
Right.
Good.
Well, back then in the 70s too, where you had to show your tits. You know what I mean? Especially then.
Yeah, and in this movie, speaking of showing tits, this movie doesn't disappoint. Like one of the first opening scenes, you see very nice breasts, and
Michael Myers' sister, right? It was
Yeah.
his sister.
Yeah.
And you see him through his eyes. He go to a tour of their house, and he goes and gets his knife, and he goes up the stairs, and slowly, and then he sees his sister.
Yeah. And that was, for the time, for again a very low budget movie. I think this thing cost $320,000. Hold on, I got notes. Yeah, $320,000. By comparison, The movie The Exorcist, cost $12 million to make.
Well, The Exorcist come out. Smart guy.
I think it was the same year.
Yeah. Okay.
But and that was just one girl in a bed. I mean, there's very low.
It's a pea soup.
Yeah, exactly. It's a pea soup, but
I
they
don't
spent
know,
$12 million.
spin her head around. I don't know.
So not only was it $320,000 budget, but they only had like 2 weeks to shoot it. Of course, money has a lot to do with that. When you have no money, you can't have really long shooting schedules. So I gotta say, it was fun. Like one of the first things, obviously, I knew the story. Like you can't grow up in the 80s. Yes, this was a 70s movie, but we're not allowed to watch it till we were a little bit older.
You sneak over a friend's house for a sleepover, and then you watch it.
Yeah. But you couldn't grow up in the 80s and not know the name Michael Myers or Jason or Freddy Krueger.
We'll talk about him.
But we'll talk about Freddy. But I got to say, even knowing it had been a while since I watched a movie, and doing my due diligence, I went and watched it again. Even knowing the story, I thought that was kind of a fun twist on the slasher film, where you see the you don't know at first it's a little kid, but you just see the kind of through the two eyes, through the mask. And, if you'd even seen the movie poster, you assume it's the grown-up killer with the mask, but it turns out just to be the sister's little brother.
Little brother, and then the cops show up, and he's out on the lawn.
Yeah.
And they're like, Michael, what's going on?
Yeah, and he's just standing there in his little kid costume with a bloody knife, and you're like, all right, interesting. So it's a fun movie. It's definitely the kind of movie that, like, a slasher film that if you're, watching all by yourself at home,
and you hear a bump in the night.
And you hear a bump, it might make you go, Michael? But I got to say, watching it again, and this part, feel free to jump on me for this one, guys, but this is maybe my media background. And it's not fair. It's not even fair for what they had to do with the budget, but the low-budget stuff distracted me a little bit this time around. Because it wasn't stuff like... Yeah, you can't hire the best cast. You can't have the biggest cameras. You obviously can't have a really long time to...
This from the guy who made me watch a $7,000 Star Wars movie. Told me to watch it for homework, and I sat through the whole thing. And it was
Junkyard
toasters, and it was horrible.
Junkyard Wars.
But anyway... now I'm more off the tangents, but
So maybe my credibility is shot because I made him watch Junkyard Wars. By the way, if you want a reference to what I'm talking about, I'm going to put it in a box right here. Just
don't hit it.
Watch.
Whatever you do not hit that button.
Watch this movie, or just send it to a friend if you want to annoy them. Whatever. But
it worked. That works. That does work.
But some of the production stuff, like, I found distracting. Like, first of all, I think it was John Carpenter himself who came up with that ding 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 ding, that the theme song, which is cool. Like, it's a theme song doesn't need to be a huge elaborate thing to be effective. I think it's a very effective theme song, but I think they overused it, and B, like especially early on. Now this is something I want the internet to fact check me. Early on in the movie. I think it's on the Extraordinarily Long Walk Home of Jamie Lee Curtis, but the music is so loud at some points I can't even hear the dialogue. Like, it's that bad of a mix.
Yeah, it's actually my ringtone this month.
So anyway, cool tune, but. So sometimes the mixes were horrible. Again, and internet fact check me. Was I watching a bad copy, or did the music just like almost completely drown out some of the dialogue in the beginning?
Well, even with newer movies that happens, and it's really annoying. Like you're watching a movie and the dialogue is really low, and then all of a sudden, wow, I get blasted by the action part of the movie, and you can't hear any of the dialogue. Maybe it's me with my tinnitus, but I'm like, why can't I hear anything anybody's saying? And then all of a sudden, bam, there's a car accident, and it's like, ah!
I told you to stop shooting guns in the house. That's gonna affect your hearing. But so stuff like that I found distracting.
I shoot guns, I shoot rifles.
And then, like, even little simple stuff like the music wouldn't fade out at like good edit points or something. It would just fade out, or a couple times it seemed to just like almost drop out entirely. And it's like, for me, it was just distracting. But again, because I know those are, again, not fair to compare 1978 where they were matching audio tracks with actual film and things like this. But nowadays, it's a very easy mix to just fade out music, much more gradually, and so like things like that, it distracts me, and I'm going down a rabbit hole. Save me, somebody save me here. Tell me something positive.
I'm enthralled by your knowledge. A great one.
Somebody
juxtaposed now.
Yeah, please, somebody say something else before I go down to my technical nerd.
I am not a technical nerd. Obviously, everybody knows that. I enjoy good old killing. I like, good old killing. Like picking the guy up and stabbing him into the cupboard. That was, that was great. Or just the parts where like there's there's clothes hanging on the wash line, and then you think you see something through there, and then they move it, and you think he's gonna be there, but he's not. It's like the suspenseful part of it, because it like we were talking about this the other day. Just the movies that are the build up sometimes is actually better than the killing. But like with newer movies, I think that's the case. But with those older movies, like the killing was great. Like they did practical effects. No CGI blood anywhere. It was actually they had to put a guy on hangers and stab him through. It was like great. Like
yeah, that's true.
Did Michael Myers work out? Why was it the same?
He's very strong.
Like, very strong guy. He's not a supernatural character per se. They don't until he dies later. But I guess it comes back.
No, I do. After just going on this whole diatribe about about production quality, I must say, when I was in college, I had a TV course, and one of the things we were supposed to do was do our own little mini movie. And of course, so I actually decided to pick up on the slasher genre, and I did a little movie called Finals, the Philip Marvin story. And you want to see bad production value, but when you have,
look it up on YouTube.
No, I am just because I'm willing to sacrifice myself at the altar of the of dignity for your guys' entertainment. I will post. I gotta go dig it up, but I will post Finals of Philip Marvin story on our Facebook page. You guys can go check it out and laugh for yourself. I think I'm the second victim in that slasher film. I think I get beaten to death with a stick. We didn't even have money for props, man. We had to do but we do have a nice through the door stabbing, That took a lot to do with some duct tape and tinfoil, and I don't want to spoil it for you, but so Halloween, did it start the genre? Did it pick up where something else left off?
Well, you can't really. I don't know if it started the genre. Psycho. You still have Psycho. Out there.
And that was 1960, right?
Yeah, that is one of the greatest, slasher movies of all time.
I always put this on the slasher films.
But shout out to superfan Jen. This is like her favorite Halloween show movie.
Halloweeners are favorite Halloween.
Halloween is probably one of her favorite movies.
Oh, all right, so, Jen. There you go.
Beth, you hate it, and I'm sorry.
But we're going to talk about a few Halloween type movies this Halloween season. So, staying on the topic of slasher movies, let's talk about another great. Some would call fun to watch around Halloween slasher, Freddy Krueger.
Oh, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
One of my picks. I loved it.
Nightmare on Elm Street, for you people that have been living under a rock, or you young people that just don't know the beauty of 80s slasher films.
Story of young Freddy Krueger, who becomes one of the greatest serial killers of all time.
He murders people in the neighborhood, but the neighborhood parents rally around and corner him and set him on fire.
I gotta say though, that the backstory is actually excellent. Like later on, they did make sequels, and they had it. They told more of the backstory and how it happened or whatever. But it's actually a decent backstory for such a cheesy. It's not cheesy because I thought it was horrifying when I was a kid.
Well, yeah, so we'll jump right onto that point because you and I talked about this off camera. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid too, probably because we both probably watched it too early.
It made you scared to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So then you're just awake scared.
But I have a 15-year-old daughter now. Oh. Yeah, this is going to be on the set. There you go.
Oh, they're going to cover up.
I have a 15-year-old daughter now, so as us parents like to do, we I don't know why I'm looking at you. As us parents like to do, we like to introduce our progeny to the next generation of to the older generation of music and movies and stuff like that. So my daughter, who's already into, I don't want to say slasher films, but horror films. This is Malia. Nod to you, Malia.
Go to bed. It's way too late.
Go to bed. Yeah, stop watching this nonsense. There's got to be something better on YouTube you watch. So she likes horror movies in general. Again, not slasher, more ghost stuff. We could talk about some ghost.
We're definitely going to talk about couple of those.
So I said, whatever, this is one of the ones that scared me as a kid. I said, I'll sit down with my 15-year-old daughter and we'll watch it. And again, it's kind of hard to compare stuff like the 80s stuff, just, some of the effects and the stuff like that were just, it's...
Freddy cuts off his own fingers. That was kind of cool.
For brand new eyes to watch these old movies is probably very difficult because they grew up with,
such great effects.
The Lord of the Rings is, you know what I mean? Like,
Well, Lord of the Rings.
Well, I'm just saying there's CGI.
He's talking level, I know what you're saying, level of production
you go
value.
back and you see, like, when Freddy's got his slinky arms, how cheesy he looks.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought. And then he was running after him. I was like, does he have really short legs?
And then, like, he would tackle, what's her name, Nancy? He would tackle Nancy, and they'd get in, like, a skirmish, and, like, he always would lose the skirmishes. And I'm like, this 14-year-old girl is whooping your ass.
First of all, like, all the horror movie guys get their ass kicked by girls, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like, the
girls
girls
that
always
they run
kick their
away,
ass.
they fall. They can't even run straight. But yet they're whooping their ass in jiu-jitsu.
Did you ever see? Yeah, just watching Nightmare on Elm Street, and you see Nancy running, and it's like, is she running in slow motion? Is she even moving her legs? Like, and then you see Freddy like,
kind of on that same note of like.
But I gotta say, the first killing he does, the razor blades on the girl, I thought that would look pretty
Is
cool.
that the girl that went up to the wall?
Yeah, the ceiling, and she was all
They did
over.
great. That was great. They did a good job with that.
I think, and this will come up throughout. This will be a thread throughout the movies we talk about tonight. But I think sometimes the less is more. A lot of times, like some of the scariest parts about the Freddy Krueger stuff is when you just heard a sound or you saw, he's just running a claw.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
And you just see his sweatshirt in the background and like the the darkness of the street. And you just see him with his hand
sometimes less is more with stuff like that. I know it's kind of eventually you got to see the killer because you're getting up close and slashing, but sometimes less is more, and I think sometimes they try to do a little too much with what they could accomplish back then.
All right, I have a little note about Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right, Chad.
All right, it's a little bit of a tangent. It's not really,
That's
talking
okay.
about
That's all right.
the teacher from Nancy's teacher.
Okay, I know her.
Yeah, you do.
She's in everything.
She's in everything. Lynn Shay. Her name's Lynn Shay. I don't know. Maybe this started her on her horror movies, but she was in. Her first movie was Hester Street. She played the whore. That was her.
All right.
But no, then she was in Critters 1 and 2.
Critters great. Critters are great movies.
Oh yeah. But all of this led up to her scariest movie ever. Her scariest role ever. She became one of the scariest characters in movie history. Cinematic history.
Tara Reid?
No, she didn't be. Okay, second scariest. The landlady from Kingpin.
Beth called that one.
Nice. All right. See, we don't call him Mr. Trivia for nothing.
Yeah.
He digs up these nuggets for us.
I just saw her. I was like, holy shit, that's...
Yep.
And that I just went off on a tangent, started looking up her films.
she's
Like,
in everything.
she was in a lot of horror movies.
She's like the Michael Caine of horror movies.
Well, she didn't play big parts in a lot of them, but she was... but then... We talk about the deaths in there. The one death was awesome, but
Pulled her up on the wall. She's getting pulled up. She's sleeping. And
you get the four claws going down her stomach, and then the blood everywhere, and the boyfriend just watching in horror. That was great, and then he gets accused of it. His death was kind of lame, in the hanging in the jail cell.
Yeah.
But then Johnny Depp. Obviously we got to mention Johnny Depp. The great thespian himself. Captain Jack Sparrow. Or he becomes a bunch of tomato soup on a ceiling.
Yeah.
And he's sitting there watching Miss Nude America. And he gets ripped and Freddy's claws just come out and rip him into the thing.
Yeah.
Again, the director, Wes Craven.
yes.
Yeah.
Horror genre. He's an awesome director. If you think about what he wanted to take it in a much darker way, but he wanted like Freddy's like bones to be coming through his face.
Well, he did that a lot in the newer movies.
Yes, but they had but the makeup artists were like, well, it's hard with the technology we have now.
Let's put
obviously.
a sheet over his face and just have him do this. He did that about 6 times in the movie.
Yeah.
Like he's got a sheet on.
Well, it did have the makings for a brilliant movie. You got Wes Craven, and even Robert Englund, who plays Freddy, is a very talented actor. But
Shakespearean trained.
But you give him cheeseball lines. I mean, what are you going to do with it? You know, it's not Hamlet.
It didn't get, but you know. To be fair, though, once the sequel started coming out, they got a little, you know, cheesier and cheesier his lines did.
Yeah, although I will say this: the one thing I really remember from the Freddy series, and I think it was the third one. It was Dream Warriors, right?
Yes. Wow. I think I know what you're gonna say.
I know. You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, when is the Karate Kid?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just the theme song, the Dokken theme song,
okay.
Dream Warriors.
Yes.
That was the one thing I love that when that song came on. I was like, oh, that's a great song.
Well, then we neither of us had any idea where you're going with that.
Yeah.
Where you were going with?
I went out and got the cassette of that. It was that.
No, I don't know. I just remember the one. The girl's a druggie. Yeah, and he goes like that, and instead of claws, he has the needles.
The needles,
he injects her, and their little pucker, they're like little baby mouths going. Yeah, like all it's so cheesy, but it was just like, oh my god, it's just like these lips going, and then he sticks the needles into him. Like
awesome.
So let me just kind of steer this boat to an adjacent body of water. When it comes to slasher films, the one that scared the crap out of me. Now, I didn't watch it again for this thing, and I'm tempted to do it, although I'm afraid I'm going to have the same reaction where it scared the crap out of me as a kid, and I'm going to watch it now and kind of laugh at it, but was Children of the Corn.
Yes.
Did you ever watch Children of the Corn?
Children of the Corn, yeah.
You know what? I've seen bits and pieces of it, but I read the book.
Okay. Oh.
Stephen King.
Yeah. So I'm sure without even reading the book, I'm sure the book was better.
For whatever reason, like it is so hard to adapt. Like he does so much, you know, storytelling in his books, and he's so good at it, like creating worlds that they just don't have enough time in a movie.
Yeah.
You know, and then when they try to make television movies so they can make it longer, it just loses something because it's like a television movie, so it's
almost like how we were talking about with Venom. And comic movies. The comic movie is going to be different than the comic book. There's no way they can get the same thing because it's just too much in the comic book. So
yeah,
the same thing with Stephen King is the same way. You can't get his book in a movie. You just got to somehow make a good Stephen King movie.
Yeah,
it is what it is.
But I
Shining.
But even The Shining, I watched that again.
It's more Kubrick than King to me.
Yeah, I agree. That's an excellent way of putting it. But
yeah, even Stephen King says it wasn't even.
Yeah. I actually like Dr. Sleep better.
That was great. That was a good.
The sequel.
I still haven't seen the movie.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so backtracking real quick to Children of the Corn. Children of the Corn, if you haven't seen it, it's very basic premise. You know, these kids get
in corn.
White privilege.
These white privileged kids get
all this corn and
you know, Satan comes to a small town, so to speak, and possesses the children, and the children basically start killing everybody because, you know, that's what
children do.
That's what possessed children do. Mm-hmm. And you know, people I can't remember, like people break down or something like that. They're driving through. So out of towners come to the town and they get chased all over Kingdom Come by Malachi and his group. But one of the things, and again, I said this was going to be a thread through the stuff we're talking about. Mm-hmm. Some of the scariest parts of that were the stuff you don't see,
like walking through the corn.
There's something.
Cameras just going through the corn.
There's something innately scary about just going through a cornfield because you can't see further than like 3 feet in front of you.
Signs played on the same thing.
Signs did a great job.
They just showed just the leg of the alien.
Yeah,
and then that was
it was a quick flash.
That was scarier than the alien.
Yes. The stuff you don't see is almost scary. Well, for in most part, scary.
Mel Gibson with the flashlight.
All right, so slasher films. Any other good slasher films of note? I mean,
slasher, obviously, Friday the 13th.
I just think,
and if you think Jason Voorhees is the killer in the first Friday the 13th movie, you definitely shouldn't be watching this podcast.
No.
It was, the ending of that movie was amazing. I like that movie. You don't know who the killer is. Like everybody that had years departed now. Everybody assumes it was Jason now, but because you know who Jason Voorhees is, but it wasn't. It was his mom because he died. He was drowned in the lake because the teenage
bad camp counselors,
which you were one.
I haven't saw the original yet, or I saw it, but I haven't seen it in a while. So, is the original was there a dream sequence, or just somebody just like thinking about something, and they're in the water and they think Jason grabs them?
The end.
Yeah.
The end. The girl's on the boat.
Okay.
The girl's on the boat, and Jason, the deformed Jason, comes out of the water
because you think he got away. She got away from the mom. right?
Yes, she killed the mom.
So I think like a lot of these slasher films, some of the original ones had some good twists and turns. I still think Tucker and Dale versus Evil is the best
Slasher movie you'll ever see.
slasher movie ever because it turns the whole thing on its ear. But
accidental.
Those teenagers are just killing themselves. And they think it's a suicide pact.
So we talk about Tucker and Dale in a couple of other podcasts, but it can't be overstated. It's a great one.
It's a great movie.
So obviously, when we're doing this podcast, we're looking for stuff for Halloween. We're looking for slasher films. First and foremost, I suggested a couple ghost ones to Chaz.
Or demon ones.
Demon ones.
But, let's start off with an older demon one, because Clint's movie is a demon. It's a demon genre.
What do you got? What did you do? What did Clint bring to the table?
No, I just watched Evil Dead. For the 30th time.
Evil Dead's a classic.
Like, how can you not watch that movie?
Evil Dead's a classic. Evil Dead's another one too. That
jawline, just amazing.
Bruce Campbell.
Yeah.
Groovy Bruce for sure. Yeah, we got to. Yeah, everybody.
Again, if you don't know the Evil Dead, it's been.
Just turn us off. Don't even subscribe if you don't know what the Evil Dead is. Like, why are you watching?
Yeah, why are you watching this?
I think Evil Dead is a lot more underground. A lot of people don't even know what it is. Like, it really is an underground.
So Evil Dead, if you don't know what it is,
back then.
If you don't know what it is, it's a very low budget movie, but it puts Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell on the map. But it's another one of these fun ones where. Very basic plot line. A man and his girlfriend go to this cabin to get away.
Couple friends,
and that's right. In the first one, they got friends, and they come across this evil book called the Necronomicon, and
big word.
Yeah,
the book.
I don't even remember it.
The Book of the Dead. Well,
I thought Facebook.
Facebook, Book of the Dead, whatever. They're the same thing. This is a digital one. Obviously, you read from some ancient evil book with skin on the cover, bad things are going to happen.
Well,
right?
like what you said earlier with less is more. Evil Dead takes that to the extreme because there's something in the woods chasing them, and they never show who it is. They just he's just running the whole time, and it's just like this, and it's just this camera view, which Sam Raimi loved that camera view.
Oh,
of that moving coming in like that bird's eye view.
Through Xena, through all the Hercules, he's used that all the time.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, yep.
So less is more, and he took that there. I mean, it got cheesy. The makeup
steps.
was terrible for that
watch.
movie. I don't know what the budget was. You said that Halloween was low. I
think this was even lower than Halloween.
Probably $7,000. Yeah.
They all pitched in for gas and beer money.
They rented a
Let's make a movie.
They built a couple things. Like the makeup was just terrible, but I mean,
I got to look this up. Keep going. I got to look up the budget of this thing.
Then they went from Evil Dead 1, they went to Evil Dead 2, and they kind of changed the plot.
There's no Evil Dead 1. It was just Evil Dead.
But I'm just saying
when people do that. I'm just teasing. Go ahead.
From the original Evil Dead, and actually they made a newer one even now.
Well, there's a series actually, which isn't bad.
Yeah, Ash versus Evil Dead.
Ash versus the Evil Dead, where they combine the two, like Ash from.
Believe it or not, they had a budget of $350,000,
which was just right around.
So they bought that. They bought the car. They bought the shotgun. That's pretty,
yeah.
I can't imagine that Groovy Bruce wasn't making a lot of money then.
No.
And then I remember the bridge scene where they showed it, where the bridge is all folded up, and like, we can't get out of here because the bridge is all up. It's a painting. It's just
they had
just go through it Roadrunner style.
like they took shortcuts, and you could tell. I mean, I don't know if they were getting lazy or what, but it's like, okay. And then they went to Evil Dead 2. They changed the plot of Evil Dead 1 a little bit to kind of.
I love that part where they.
Sorry, not Evil Dead.
They slam the basement door on the demon, and his eye pops out, and the lady's like, ah, and he goes, oh
my gosh! And that reminds me of Spider-Man with the Green Goblin. There was like a scene with the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. It reminds me of the same kind of scene with the eyeball. I think he's throwing one of his goblin bombs or something. Right. Yeah. So I mean, Evil Dead 2 got goofier, and then if you go to even Army of Darkness, which is Evil Dead 3, it's even more goofier. But the special effects, obviously,
well, then watch. If you want to see goofy,
better.
watch Ash versus the Evil Dead.
Yeah,
Ash versus the Evil Dead. Was a series on Netflix or Amazon?
They got dark again.
I don't know.
Yeah.
They brought back the Evil Dead. I think it was called the Evil Dead. Maybe 2014. they brought it back again, and it actually I liked it. The newest one is I think the best one. Probably
like because the effects are better and the budget was a lot more.
oh, and it was gory. It was so gory.
Yeah.
you know?
I didn't see that one.
I gotta admit, I actually had a video game of the Evil Dead, and you literally run around as Ash. You got the you got the chainsaw on your arm
and the boomstick.
The boomstick. Oh, it was actually really fun. Now that I mentioned it, I gotta see if I can get it again. I don't know what the hell happened to it.
But it's a cult classic movie. I think it's an underground movie more than, especially like back then. We had the VHS. We watched it so many times.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Great one.
All right. And now Ray had me do homework. I had to watch.
Hold on. I didn't just make you do homework. I wanted to share with you a movie series that I enjoyed. You're my friend. I wanted you to share in some of my
He's
joy.
not a horror guy. He doesn't. He's not.
I know he
not
likes
a horror
slasher
movie.
stuff.
I like slasher stuff. Not really. I'm not even into new horror stuff. Like I hated Blair Witch. I hate shaky cam. Anything with shaky cam really bothers me. I'm like, I paid a lot of money to watch this movie. I don't want to get sick while I get a migraine watching it because these people are like, oh yeah, that's camera again.
Halloween had a fair amount of that, but anyway, go.
Yeah, but they had a reason. Shaky cam, they just didn't have money for a steady cam.
Were they
Yeah.
doing a Mike Myers perspective? That's
Well,
what
when it was Mike Myers' perspective, yes, but there were actually a few times where I don't know,
just
they,
for no reason, like
yeah, I'm like
a fly.
I'm like, what? You didn't? I don't think they had time to put it on
But
camera.
unlike the last series, this is a movie series, so there was a couple movies, and well, how many more movies are there? Because I watched the first two Conjuring
They
movies.
call it a like.
But at least there's a sequel. There's a continuation of it, unlike Firefly, which Ray made me watch and didn't tell me. And we didn't tell me there wasn't a second season. Great show, which my cousin's in.
All right, so we've talked about this before, and we probably will talk about this again. But little anecdote: I turned Chaz onto the series Firefly, with great sci-fi thing by Joss Whedon, and unfortunately, I didn't turn him on to it until it was already streaming on Netflix or whatever. So he got into it. He's like, "Great! When do they come out with the next season?" I'm like, "Oh." They only made one season.
Oh, it's like Heroes. Heroes did 2 seasons. Like, yeah, screw you guys.
And he got pissed at me.
Except for it was better than Heroes.
Oh, yeah, Heroes is... I don't like Heroes.
Larry Pinnell's in it. He's actually a relative of ours.
I didn't see any check, so I don't know.
You didn't see Jay. Unless he took me out for a
But
steak
anyway,
dinner, I don't care.
Conjuring movies.
What's your two seasons?
We're kind of off on a tangent, but we're...
So I turned him on to the Conjuring series, which, actually...
I actually, well, we live in Connecticut. Anyway, I guess the best thing to come out of Connecticut is the Warrens, which is kind of sad. But no, I watched the first Conjuring movie, and it was quite. I don't think it was scary. There was some chilling parts of it, and it mostly, again, where we were alluded to earlier, some of these horror movies, less is more. And when they were leading up to all the ghosts or the demons and the ghosts and stuff, it was like, whoa, it's kind of cool. And I really like the actress that plays.
Elizabeth. Elizabeth Warren.
No, not Elizabeth.
The mom?
Yeah.
Mrs. Warren.
No, the mom.
The victim's family there.
She's from.
Oh yeah, she's from a couple other things. Yeah, but it was very. I thought the leading up and you see something slam, you don't actually see the ghosts and everything like that. The ghosts didn't scare me. Like when we saw them, I was like, oh, the person's hanging from the first one. The person's hanging from spoilers. As the person, oh yeah, you see that you just kind of know, and it kind of creeped me out when she said like when Mrs. Warren goes, oh, when I walked in, I could see him hanging on to you, like the dark spirits behind.
Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, that's kind of chilling. It's kind of like you see it at first, and nothing really was there, and then you see it through her eyes, and you see the ghost behind him.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool. And less is more. But the actual ghost, I really wasn't scary. I didn't find it scary at all. Like, oh, the little music box kind of creepy. The little ding, 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 ding. And then she falls down into the basement, and she sees her husband die. Like she sees that figure. Actually, you don't see that until the second one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then the clapping thing in the thing. That was actually pretty.
I like that. I like that too.
It's like the old what was it? There's a little creep like this. The scariest shortest story. Have you ever heard it? You ever heard the scariest shortest story? It's the son is in his bed and he hears his mother calling his name from downstairs. He's like, "Oh, Johnny, come downstairs. Johnny, come down here." And then he's at the top of the stairs about to step down, and his mother stops him. She goes, "I heard it too." And if you think about it, it gives you that little chill.
Does, yeah.
It gives a little that just it less is more. Every time I hear that, even now, I just got that chill just thinking about that little story.
I saw your nipples get a little hard. I was worried about it.
Anyway, but no, The Conjuring. I actually enjoyed it. It wasn't scary for me, but it was a good story. I liked the story. I liked the stories of the haunting,
the family,
and it was just. But at the end, and they showed the pictures, and actually, I thought this was a little bit creepier when they did the actual pictures of the people, and they were doing different shaky. I was like, "Ooh, that's kind of creepy." And then you see the pictures of Ed Warren and. What the hell's Mrs. Warren's name?
Lorraine
Warren. Sorry, I couldn't
Lily, don't get mad at me for forgetting that. My daughter loves the Warrens. She thinks they're great.
I like them
I think it you see the pictures of them. I'm like, dude, he looks like a used car salesman.
A bad used car salesman.
Yeah, really bad. Like he couldn't he was like the used car salesman from True Lies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Tarmar Bill Paxton.
Bill Paxton character.
Or Bill Pullman. I know they're the same.
Yeah. Have you never seen them in the room at the same time?
But yeah, it was. And then I watched, and I was like, oh, then I got to watch Conjuring 2. And entertaining story, very entertaining story. Again, the ghost George.
We just need somebody, a big guy with a knife to finish it off. Is that
no? Again, I'm not sitting here going, this genre is better than that genre. But the story creeps you out a little. The knowing that these are based on true stories, and the part where they're interviewing the little girl and she turns her voice and it becomes the ghost of George, and then they turn your back. I don't want you to look at me. So they all turn their back and you see the shadow behind him. The CGI kind of looked like Schmeagol from I swear to God. I was like, is that? I just wanted to say, oh my precious, or something like that. But then she's not. The Warrens aren't getting the feeling from these people. They're just not getting it because the demon is there blocking the feeling, and the ghost, yeah. And then when they're on the train at the end, and then it was
he's listening to the audio tape,
and then he put them together, he saw them, and it was wow. And the voice is help me, they're not letting me go, and it was really cool. I actually loved the story, and I was very entertained by both movies. Very entertained. But again, I got chills when there were other things happening, but not necessarily seeing the ghost or the demon. The nun, that thing didn't scare me.
Yeah.
Nun with the hair.
Did you watch it by yourself too?
Huh?
Both these movies.
Yes, I watched them by myself.
That adds a lot to it. I swear. When you watch movies scary movies like that by yourself, especially the beginning of them, like Haunting in Connecticut.
Yeah.
That movie. Up to a point.
You know that happened in Connecticcut?
Yeah, obviously. Up to a point, that movie scared the shit out of me until they finally showed the ghost or whatever the hell it was. Then I was
it is really hard
up to it.
Again, here's that thread again we've been talking about. It's really hard to pull off something scarier than we can just imagine in our own
just
minds.
like Bruce,
Bruce Lee?
No, Bruce. Oh yeah, he's a bad man. But no, Bruce, the shark from Jaws. He was supposed to be in that movie a lot, but him not being in that movie scared me. I'm still afraid to go in the ocean, people.
Yeah.
I don't like the ocean. I've been dropped in the ocean.
Hold on. I gotta say this, and my sister doesn't watch this podcast anyway, but my sister, she saw Jaws and she was so afraid she didn't want to go on the toilet for a while.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure you're safe from a 30-foot shark in our plumbing. We're good.
Hi, Kara.
Hi, Kara. Yeah,
oh, everything's sponsored by KWB Media.
Yeah. I don't know if I want to take credit for it.
No, but less is more.
So you saw 2 Conjuring movies? That's how far you got? You
yes.
didn't see anymore?
I didn't watch any more, but I'm going to. I was entertained by those movies, so
I find them all entertaining.
Did you like Annabelle?
Annabelle. I liked Annabelle.
I wish you know what? I really wish they would have used a Raggedy Ann doll.
Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't. Was there some sort of rights thing? Did the Milton Bradley people or whoever makes Raggedy Ann not let them or something? I don't know. I agree with you because that's what it originally was. Or maybe somebody on the set just
Well, they
said,
show a picture of it in the movie, like at the end of the movie. Like,
I don't know, maybe some set designer just came up with the idea that said Raggedy Ann is scary enough.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like the Annabelle doll is scarier, so they kind of did it.
I didn't think so. Yeah, old dolls are kind of creepy, but like there was more Raggedy Ann dolls around, and they'd be like more pronounced.
But you got to think about it from a production standpoint. Like they did stuff like making the head turn on the Annabelle doll and stuff like that. And
you can make if you made a Raggedy Ann doll head turn.
There's some.
It's like a sewn thing. If his head turns,
Child's Play had a doll.
I will
is
say
his name Jason or Freddy? Who cares?
I will say this though: if you did enjoy the first 2 Conjurings, the rest of the series, with the exception of
The Nun I thought
was great.
I thought The Nun was good.
But also, I didn't really know that the Warrens were involved with the Amityville horror. I seen the original movie, but I never
Annabelle
really...
Comes Home was the only one I didn't really like. But I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, with
But I didn't realize that because at the beginning of Conjuring 2, they're dealing with the Amityville house,
Right.
and everybody's saying that then he's on like news stories or television shows, and they're like, oh, it was a cheap trick, and they just wanted to get money, this and that, and.
Well,
I don't know. It looked like if that was what Ed Warren, like the pictures of Ed Warren, if that's what he really looked like, and he was on TV, I would never believe a damn word that guy said. I wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't buy a fucking piece of toilet paper off that guy.
There's an interesting thing,
And even his wife looked like a huckster.
there's an interesting story, and I'm probably butchering it. And this is a spoiler, which I didn't know, and I honestly forget which movie it is. One of the later in the series, the Warrens actually, talking about real stories, they actually got somebody off on a murder conviction, and they appealed because he was possessed demonically, and they actually won the court case. They got him off of at least the murder. I think he still went to jail, but I think he was going to get the death sentence or something to that effect. But they really stood up in court and won a court case saying a guy was demonically possessed. I mean, you could say it's all fake and hubbub and stuff like that, and maybe a lot of it is. But if you can convince a court of law to let somebody off on a demonic possession, you got to be somewhat either just really good shucksters, or maybe there's something to it. I don't know. Who knows? I think like a lot of things, it's fun to think that there are real things as ghosts, not necessarily demons, but there's it's fun to think that things like ghosts exist and whatever like that.
Well, I've got a lot of people in my family that believe in ghosts. A lot of people, like my sister lives in a house that was part of the Underground Railroad, and they swear that there's ghosts in their basement.
There's some sketchy shit to happen there for sure.
Yeah, and I wouldn't want you to possess my house as a ghost because you'd always take over the Xbox and play Halo. And I like Call of Duty way better, so.
They'll probably eat all your food too.
Yeah, probably. All right, but on that note, thanks for Clint for coming down, and thanks for joining us on this Halloween episode. Hope everybody has a great season. I hope you enjoy it. Again, remember to like us, subscribe to us, send money, panties, whatever. Just
the buttons.
Thanks for supporting us, and
watch other videos down here.
And
touch the boobs up here.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Ring the bell.